Hi, so this is kind of an extra video going over this variables packet. So we're doing this over a couple days in class. So I'm going to make a video that goes over examples from each page, but don't try to watch this video all the way through. I would watch a couple examples and then try to finish that page on your own. And then watch a couple examples for another page and then try to finish that page on your own and keep checking it with the key. Okay? So this is not something where you should just rush through it and do it all at once. Get some practice for each of the types of problems in between. So day 1 in class, we're covering approximately pages 1 through 6, if you want to break it up. And then day 2, maybe come back and we'll work on pages 7 through 12. So here we go. All right, I want to start with actually writing down on page 3. This is page 3 in your packet, and this is actually mostly notes that we do together. So for those of you at home, this would be mostly copying things down from the answer key, right? What you see on the answer key, you're going to kind of fill in here just as notes together. But I do want to talk about variables. This is also stuff that's in video 9 as well, so make sure you've already watched video 9. Okay? So a variable is something that you can count. Actually, I'm going to just put this up. A variable is something that you can count or measure. Okay, so here's my paper, and this is the same key that's posted online, but we're just going to make sure we know variables are things that you can count or measure. Okay, they are not numbers. So 8 is not a variable. Something like the temperature outside is a variable, or how much Chevy weighs is a variable. Something that can change, but you have to be able to count or measure it. Okay. And then in video 9, we also talked about independent variable and dependent variable. So we always use an X for the independent variable, and that's something that you can control, or the thing that's in control, or also if you have a problem with time. So something like weeks, days, seconds, minutes, hours, years, anything to do with time is always going to be your X, your independent variable. Okay? And then the dependent variable, we always use Y, and that's going to be the result or the outcome. Okay, so we're going to be using these definitions as we work through this packet. So now I'm going to flip back to page 1 and we can do some together. All right, at the bottom of page 1, we have down here, Y always depends on X. Or you could flip it around and say X determines what happens to Y. Okay? X is always the independent variable. Y is always the dependent variable. All right? So on page 1, we're just getting some practice determining which is X and which is Y. So I'm going to go back to the top of page 1 and write this down again. Okay? X is, the key word here is control. Right? It's the thing in control or the thing you can control. And Y is the results or the outcome. Okay? So let's look at the first one. We're just supposed to be deciding which is the independent and which is the dependent variable and labeling them X or Y. So how many points you score and how much time you spend practicing. So I'm deciding which is the one I can control or in control, that would be X, and which one is the result or the outcome, that would be Y. So I control how much time I spend practicing. The result or the outcome is going to be how many points I score. Okay, number 2, how often you get a haircut and the length of your hair. Well, I control, or you can control, how often you get a haircut. The result or the outcome is going to be the length of your hair. Okay? So the whole rest of this page is just determining X and Y. Down here, you're going to be matching them, right? How well you sleep would match up with which one of these? Well, how much caffeine you've had. So it's matching, and then determine which is X and which is Y. So X is what I can control. I can control how much caffeine I've had today. The result or the outcome is going to be how well I sleep at night. Okay? And then I would write that down as a sentence, right? and you can shorten it. How well I sleep depends on how much caffeine. Okay, just to get into the habit of saying y depends on x and putting it into a regular sentence. Okay, so that's what we did as examples for page 1. Pause it here and finish this page and check it with the key. Okay. When you're ready, I'm going to go on and do a couple examples from page 2. Okay, page 2. So now it says I'm looking at the sentence and I'm going to again figure out what x is, what y is, and then put it together as an equation. So the example is Bozo gains 2 pounds for every box of donuts he eats. So the two things, remember that you can count or measure. Those are your variables. So what can you count or measure here? Well, you can count or measure how much he weighs, right? Bozo's weight, and how many boxes of donuts. So how much he weighs, or pounds gained, would be y, depends on how many boxes of donuts he's eaten. And that would be x, the thing that he can control. Okay? And then put it together as an equation. So y equals, all your equations are going to be y equals, y equals, y equals. And you're just telling me kind of what's happening here. It's 2 pounds for every box of donuts, so 2x. Okay? I'll do one more on this page. Whatever the outside temperature is, a cricket chirps 4 times for each degree. So I'm going to underline the things that I can count or measure. I can count or measure the temperature, and I can count or measure how many cricket chirps. Okay, well, the way we have it set up, y always depends on x. So let's see, the result or the outcome is going to be the cricket chirps. And that's going to depend on the outside temperature. Okay, or another way of thinking about that is the outside temperature is going to control how many times the cricket chirps. Okay, 4 times for each degree. So 4 chirps times the number of degrees outside, 4x. Okay, so that's your example for page 2. So finish page 2, check page 2 with the key, pause it here, and work those out, and then I'll go on and do a couple more examples for the next pages, okay? All right, we already said page 3 is mostly notes, so a lot of this you're just kind of copying off of the answer key that's posted. But I just wanted to review the 4 parts of the equation, right? Looking at an equation like this, we see a y variable, so that is your dependent variable. Okay, that's again something you can count or measure, but this one is the result or the outcome or the effect, right? We already said that. The x variable is your independent variable. This is the one that is in control, or the thing you can control, or time. Seconds, minutes, days, weeks, years, any of those things would be the x. And then you notice that I also have a number by itself. So the number alone is telling you the starting value. And the number with the x. So whatever number is multiplied by the x, the coefficient of the x, the number with the x is telling you the rate, how much you go up or down. Okay? So then we go over some examples. I want to put this up and show you that we just talked a little bit about a couple more equations like this. Right? If I give you an equation, you should be able to tell me the starting value and the rate. Right? So the number by itself. So this one has a starting value of 9. And it's going up 12, up 12, up 12, up 12 every time. Looking at this one, the number by itself is the starting value. So this one starts at negative 22. The number with the x is actually a negative 11. So down 11, down 11, down 11, down 11. Right? This is the number by itself is the starting value. So this one starts at 14 and goes up 6, up 6, up 6. Or starting at negative 18. Remember that negative is glued to the 18. Negative 18 and going down 7, down 7, down 7, down 7. Okay? So that's kind of the rest of page 3. And you can look at over with the key. All right. Okay, pause and catch up, but here's a couple examples for page 4. Okay, so remember we said the 4 parts of the equation you need to know. Independent variable, dependent variable. Number 3, you need to know the starting value. And 4, the rate. So we're going to find those 4 parts in each of these equations, okay, and then label them. So number 1 here says the total amount of money you spend on X movie tickets. All right, well, they're telling me the money I spend is Y, so I'm going to label this my dependent variable is money spent, total money spent. Okay, then they tell me X is the number of movie tickets I buy. So my independent variable is number of tickets. Okay, I'm on number 3 for starting value. I know the starting value is the number by itself. So that would be a negative 10 here. Starting value, negative $10. So that must be some sort of discount or gift card or coupon. Right, if they're taking $10 off what you have to pay. And then the number with the X is the rate. So in this case, I know the rate is telling me how much for each ticket. So it is $7.75 per ticket. So you could use the slash or the word per or for each ticket. Okay, I'll do one more on this page. Gym membership costs Y by week, W. All right, so they tell me Y is gym membership cost. That's my dependent variable. Gym membership cost, right? So money. They tell me W is the number of weeks I'm signed up for. So my independent variable is weeks. So I'm on number 3, starting value. That's the number by itself. So here 15 is my starting value. So it must be $15 to join, or $15 to sign up, or $15 to get your membership card. And then number 4, the rate. So that's the number with the W or the X with the independent variable here. So my rate, $1.50. So this tells me that it costs $1.50 per week. Okay. All right, so there's a couple examples on page 4. Pause, finish page 4, check it, and then I'd want to get in one quick example on page 5. Okay? Okay, so this is page 5. Make sure that you go back and fill in. Remember, the variables are the things you can count or measure. The number by itself tells you the starting value. And then the number with the X tells you whether you're going up or down each time. Okay? So look through this example. Hours of daylight each day. Right? Determine what are the 2 things you're counting or measuring. So here we figured out we're looking at how many days into winter. The result or the outcome is going to be how long the days are. And this equation says y equals 12.4 minus 0.1x. So I just need to turn that into a normal sentence, right? Right now we get 12.4 hours of daylight, but the days are getting shorter by 0.1 hours each day. Okay? So I've done another one here for you, and you can check with the key, but we did up through page 6 on day 1 with this packet.